So Facebook ads are the things really which makes my event successful at the moment. Now, if Mark Zuckerberg goes and changes any of the rules around events or makes Facebook ads more expensive, then this is kind of going to screw up this this strategy which I use at the moment. But hey ho, whilst it's rolling, and I reckon it will be fine for the next year or two at least, I'm just going to roll with it too. So, right, what I'm going to cover during this Facebook ad section is around the budget that you're planning to market your event. So versus your event lifetime value. If you're jumping in at this point, I'd suggest you go back and watch the slide about event lifetime value, because that's quite important. I'm going to go through the ad format again. Like, I'm not a Facebook ad expert. I'm just telling you what I do, and it seems to work and get people booked on for less than £1 per person booked at the moment. So I'm just telling you what I know. There'll be other probably Facebook ad experts out there maybe watching this who maybe I'll get some tips out of it. Maybe they'll spot some stuff that I'm missing, but I'm not an expert. I'm just telling you what I know. So I'm going to go through what I do from an ad format perspective, title, descriptions, calls to action and stuff like that. I'm going to talk to you a little bit around split testing and the 3 different types of ads which I've tested, and which one I've really kind of honed in and settled on. And then finally, I'm going to talk to you about kind of the actual Facebook ad structure from an audience perspective. So looking at lookalike audiences, custom audiences, and event audiences, and things like that. Hope that's cool. So kind of jumping about a little bit, but these are the 3 ads which I split tested basically. So let's have a quick look. So we'll come back to budget. So kind of just to give you an idea. So I tend to use a basic image ad. Is actually kind of the least popular one. I then have a video ad. That's kind of the second most popular one. And then this, what I call a disruptive ad. And actually this has been the most popular one for me. So this is actually one of the diagrams, one of my tools that I teach people about customer lifetime value. But for some reason it makes people stop and go back and have a look at the event. And then during those few seconds, they then go, oh, this is cool. It's a free seminar in Cheltenham. So yeah, away we go. So you can see from the structure of the ad, in terms of like, so first and foremost, and again, I got to give sort of a hat tip. There's a guy called Jamie Forrest, JP, I always get the name on, JPW Marketing. Jamie Forrest is a Facebook ads expert, and he kind of helps me out with the ad structure. Started to introduce me to kind of audiences and things like that. So I owe him an awful lot, but so he's the one who kind of taught me this sort of structure. So basically what we want to do is have like something really clear at the top of it. So who we're speaking to, business owners of Gloucestershire. So it's location based, it's talking about our target market. And then you're invited, so call to action, you're invited to a free seminar at the Jury's in Cheltenham on Friday the 26th. So it's got all of the basic details in there. And then if they click more, it's going to get them, give them a few more details about what this seminar is going to do for them, basically. So there's like 3 bullets and a couple of other details in there. And then we've got the image. Like I said, it says interested there, but actually if you click into that ad, you then get the option to actually book a ticket directly from Eventbrite, which is pretty cool. So I've split tested like numerous different ads. I mean, I've spent thousands of pounds on Facebook ads and finally settled on this kind of being the most popular, but do always split test across your different audience. It may be that this thumbnail wasn't right for this video, or the video was too long, because this particular video is about sort of 2.5 minutes, so people maybe didn't watch all of it. This is a bit kind of too salesy, and people will probably just scroll past that potentially. So I found this disruptive type of ad, like make it colourful, make it bright, make it like scribbles and a bit of a mess. It seems to attract people's attention. It works for me, like I said. So then we're kind of going to go into the budget side of things. So now I actually set for the last event, I actually only ended up spending about £100 to book 97 people onto the event. But actually, I would have been willing, because I knew that if I filled the room up with 50 people, I'd have at least 1, maybe 2 ongoing coaching clients. I'd sell some people onto my group coaching program, so that would create a customer lifetime value in its own right. And actually, the venue only cost me 250 quid, so I was willing to spend £300 on Facebook ads. Now, one of the key things is what we want to do is run the ads right up to the day before the event, because people will still book at the last minute. I did this similarly for my networking event, and in January we had 17 people book on the day before. That's 17 people out of 60 in total who attended the event. So schedule it to start straight away and end literally like the day before your event. And like the time looks a bit random, but hey ho. So my event was on the 26th of Jan. And then run the ads all the time. Basically, you could schedule it if you wanted to run between like the most popular times. You know, like I know that my audiences tend to be online at lunchtime on Facebook, and sort of later on in the evening once the kids are kind of gone to bed. So sort of 7 to, I don't know, 10 p.m. So you could potentially run it on a schedule. I've never split tested that. Hey, maybe that's something I should do. But I'd tell I'm lazy, so I'd just run the ads all the time, basically. So next up, we're kind of getting into the real guts of like the Facebook Ads Manager and like the control panel. And there's a few things that you'll see in here which will be familiar. So the ad which we're doing is an event ad, and ideally what we want to do. So this stuff on the right is really, really important. We want this needle to be bolt upright. So that it says that we're not too specific, we're not too broad, our audience is clearly defined. Now the green band actually goes like, you know, for a big part of it. Also, what we don't want is this potential reach to be absolutely massive. We don't want it to be into like the hundreds of thousands. I mean, it depends on the event. I guess if you're like Tony Robbins or somebody, you probably want it to be going out to hundreds of thousands of people, and you got the cash. But actually, the reality is we want it to be very specific. So I'm talking about kind of local event-based marketing here. You could use this tactic if you wanted to do bigger events, and probably actually, if I wanted to grow my Fearless events, I'd probably take them to London or Reading or Birmingham or a bigger city. You know, so that's one way of doing it. Like I'm not going to draw people into an event in Cheltenham. Like, let's be fair. Well, I do, but not from outside of Gloucestershire probably. And then the other thing is this estimated daily results. So what I try and do is I'll adjust my budget basically to make sure that the reach is somewhere approaching 1,000 people a day. Because then when you start reaching 1,000 people a day, you get this this second bar appear, which is for the estimated number of event responses. And so if I'm getting 6 to 21 event responses a day and reaching 1,000 people a day, that's pretty cool. And actually, so what it's, in terms of like budget, that's why it's better off to start with a really high budget. Now, what Facebook is going to do is eke out that budget over the course of the lifetime. So if you're doing a 4-week campaign, it'll eke out the £300 over the course of the event. So, but what we want to do is maximize the amount of event responses as quickly as we possibly can. So we may only be willing to spend 300 quid, but if you're brave with your budget and stick in 300 quid, knowing that you'll probably get everybody booked on in that first week, and it'll only cost you 100 quid. I mean, Facebook's like, woohoo, this person's like going to spend 300 quid. So they're like, yeah, let's just throw this out all over the place, and we'll get loads of engaged people, and we'll give it to the right people. But actually, what you do is you spend 100 quid, get your 70 or 97 bookings, and switch it off, and you've only spent 100 quid. So actually being brave with this this budget and the scheduling is like absolutely vital. And ideally, like I said, we want to get to this point whereby we've got this estimated daily reach up over 1,000, and this event responses thing pops up, because that's just triggered something in Facebook's algorithm to say this guy's promoting events and he's got a budget for it. So I'm not going to go too much into creating custom audiences. There'll be loads of advice and tips and tricks and stuff like that out there. How I do it is I create a basic custom audience of everybody who's attended my events in the past and pump that into Facebook. At the moment it's about 600 or 700 people. And then I create a lookalike audience based on that of and basically how lookalike audiences work is they give you the closest 1% of people so I've chosen, in terms of my lookalike audience, people based in the UK. So there's 41 million registered Facebook users in the UK. So that any lookalike audience you create, the first 1% will always be, if it's UK targeted, 410,000 odd people. And that seems like a lot, and you'd be like, oh, that's too many. That's not very targeted. But actually what it's done is out of the 41 million people it's got to pick from in the pool, it's chosen 1,000 people who the 1% of people who look the most like that initial list of people who've attended events. If that makes any kind of sense? So it should be the 414,000 people who are most closely associated to my target market. Next up, and this is one of the biggest mistakes actually. So first of all, when I my first event I did where I was booking people for like £7 to £10 per seat. I didn't have a lookalike audience like this. I didn't have a location. I wasn't really aware of this sort of stuff going on over here. So the moment I created a detailed lookalike audience based on people who'd attended my event, the event bookings for my Bristol event dropped down to about between, I know it's about £4-ish. So it halved pretty much. The next thing is this location thing here. Now, most people will go, my event's in Cheltenham, so I'll do a 40-kilometre radius around Cheltenham. Now, again, that's quite vague. So there's something called polyagonal searches. This is probably the stuff that like Facebook ad gurus don't want you to know, because they're like, this is our secret source. Like, why this guy's telling you, like, this is the secret source I'm giving you now, and it works for me. And hey, by the way, like when you're first starting out with Facebook ads, like the money you spend isn't wasted, it's information gathering. Like you will waste a lot of money on Facebook ads before you get it right. I certainly have. So I'm trying to save you a few quid here. So GL12 is what we call a polyagonal postcode search. So it's not, basically, it's a very specific like grid on a map of where that location sits. And what happens is we're going to target people who specifically live in that location, because we know that they're more likely to come to our event because they live closer to it. So if you want to know more about this, like you're going to have to join. I'm not going to give you this list. You can go and find your own postcode lists if you want to. But I've got some great text files available if you're a Fearless Business member, and to make that job a lot easier for you. So I can give you these polyagonal searches, but you're going to have to give me some juice, I'm afraid, because it took me a long time to get to work out where to grab that information from, and which I know is a bit tight of me. I suppose I could help you out. Maybe you could just donate some beer tokens or something. But like this, when I started targeting specific polyagonal postcodes like this, my cost per person sat again dropped by more than half. So it moved from about £3 to £4 down to about £1 to £2, which was a massive difference. So just with these two things alone, I've moved from sort of £7, £8, £9 per person booking down to like £1 per person booking. It's absolutely phenomenal when it works, and it doesn't always work. It depends. Like there's a lot of other variables, like when you launch your promotion, like what other promotions are going on and things like that. If you run two ads, similar ads at the same time, effectively they're competing against each other for this reach, this traffic. So it could potentially cost you more. So there's a lot of variables which are kind of going on there. I kind of tend to use sort of fairly vague sort of demographics. Like I want everybody to come along from 24 to 65. Now the last event which I did, again, probably the first 10 people that booked it were women, and then Facebook decided, well, then everybody who wants to go to this event female. So it started to slide much more towards women. So I had to create another ad, switch off my women out, because I'm not focused specifically on women, but I wanted a mix of people and genders in the room, a mix of demographics in the room, because again, it all adds to the event. I think it'd be a bit weird if people turn up. I don't know whether it'd be weird. Maybe I thought it was weird if everybody who turned up to my event was female. I don't know. Language. Make sure you put English UK in there if you're in England or wherever you're based. Target language. I haven't filled in this details in the screenshot, but again, 21,000 people in Gloucestershire. That's still quite vague. So I might want to narrow that down potentially and start to put in, business owners, entrepreneurs, whatever it might be. And you can also exclude people. So you might choose to exclude, taxi drivers. For whatever reason, maybe you've got something against taxi drivers. So if there are people you don't want to, but you don't see this box to start off with. There's a little link which you have to click to exclude people. So if you put business owners, you then have to click another box and exclude taxi drivers. So it's just a way of narrowing down your audience and making sure you have the right people booking to turn up to your event. Cool. And then so edit placement. So I've kind of played around with this. I kind of settled on I prefer to target mobile only. I get better results through that. Occasionally I'll test it if that mobile only is not working. I might do automatic placements and let Facebook do its thing. It's entirely up to you. You've also got there's various different things. I mean, I would look at just look at Facebook's help pages around kind of the different types of platforms. And what's going to work best for your event, and kind of, again, it will depend on your audience. But for me, mobile only or automatic placement, absolutely fine. Whether you push it across to Instagram or not, it's entirely up to you if you've got an Instagram following. Optimize for ad delivery. We want event responses. Bid amount automatic, so let Facebook do its work. If you do manual, you will end up paying too much. And then charge. We want charges to be charged per impression, basically. So every time this goes out to 1,000 people, we want to be charged for it, because if our ad structure is right, if our targeting is right, if our event is appealing, and can produce value, we should get quite a good conversion rate. Now, I haven't actually looked in detail as to what my conversion rates are, actually, based upon my impressions. Is probably something I should look at. But again, you can find that information in the the Facebook Ads Manager. I'm waning, so I'm going to try and wrap this up soon. So here we go. So a few stats. So this is again to show the difference between split tests. So event responses. So again, by far, this was my most this was getting the best results for the least. It cost me a little bit more, but it was getting me more people booking. So, and yes, these were cheaper, and I suppose I could have switched that off and ramped up the spend on these. I did try that, and ultimately this ended up costing me more because too many people were just scrolling past the image ad in the video. So I settled upon the it says headshot there, but it's not. It's the disruptive image, basically. And you can see here, great relevancy score, lots of people taking action. We're talking like 19 event bookings for 10 quid at this point. I think, like I said, in the end, I booked 97 people for just over £100, which is a pound a seat. I mean, that's amazing. So you're going to get better results early on, and then the ad will keep on getting repeated to the same people after that. So when this starts to kind of creep up, you probably want to start to think about duplicating your ad and tweaking a couple of things in it. Maybe change the ad copy or drop in another image or something like that, just so people get something different. Again, I'm lazy. I didn't do it for this campaign, but if I was doing a bigger campaign, perhaps I would. So that's that, basically. So if you've got any questions, jump onto the either the Business Startup group on Facebook, hit me up. So you can just search on Twitter for Robin Waite, on Facebook, Instagram. I'm all over that. You can buy one of my books, Take Your Shot. They're both on or Online Business Startup. They're both on Amazon. And if you want to know more about Facebook ad side of things, then get yourself booked in for a consultation with me. The consultation won't focus on Facebook ads, by the way. I tend to look at a much more strategic perspective of your business, and we will be talking about whether business coaching is something for you. But hey, get in touch if you've got any questions. Pop them into the feed below, and I will be sure to come back to you.